Okay, so getting back into our coverage over the Immortal Hulk, we do pick up with issues number 11, 12, and 13. Now, this is a three-part story arc where we do pick up with the Hulk now in hell. And let me explain, because at the end of our last video, we saw that the Absorbing Man was able to get an upgrade to his powers. And with that upgrade, he was now able to absorb gamma radiation. But once he was able to absorb just enough radiation, he was then able to open up the green door. Now, we're still kind of learning everything about the green door, but when it came to the Absorbing Man, his body was being taken over by a character we still don't know everything about yet. But once he was able to use the body of the Absorbing Man, he was then able to open up the green door. And so our hero, the Hulk, and also a few other characters who were in that area with the Hulk, they were all teleported into hell. They all went through the green door. Now, getting into the opening pages of this video is kind of like a callback to the earlier story arcs of this series. And what I mean by that statement is that we pick up with the Hulk and also Jackie kind of walking around this area that's basically hell. Now remember, for Jackie, she is a reporter. And the thing was, for the Hulk, he died back in Civil War II. So he was gone for a good while, but then he came back to life. But the public did not know that the Hulk was alive again. And so when it came to Jackie, her main goal was to prove that the Hulk was alive again. But she had another reason why. And it was that basically when she was a young girl, her home got completely wrecked by the Hulk. But she also looked at the Hulk in his eyes. And ever since that moment, she wanted to be just like him. And so as we dive into the opening pages for today's video, it's the Hulk right now bringing up that question once again. The whole idea of her wanting to be just like him. And really, she does explain why she wants to be just like the Hulk. And for me, it kind of does make sense because if you think about it, right, when it comes to the Hulk, even though he goes on a rampage and he does destroy all those different things across the world, homes, buildings, other kind of properties, no matter what, you have the other heroes in the Marvel universe always trying to give him a pass. Matter of fact, let's not forget, when it came to Planet Hulk, it was the heroes saying, listen, we're going to send you away to a different planet where you are able to release all that anger, Hulk, on different things, but not on people of Earth. And so it's her saying that you are able to release your anger and go on a tantrum whenever you want to. But for us regular folks, we can't do that because if we do and something happens, we go to jail. But unfortunately for you, you are able to get a free pass. So yes, I want to be like you as a way to release the anger I have inside of me so that just in case I'll also have the ability to not get in trouble because for you, that's a great thing to have. Now, for the Hulk, he kind of realized that she's right because there's been times where the man has gone on a rampage and has caused so much property damage. But no matter what, the heroes always give him a pass in some kind of way. But then out of nowhere, they're then confronted by a hollow body of Rick Jones. Now, Rick Jones was a close friend of the Hulk in the early days of Hulk comics. But either way, they're seeing this hollow body of Rick Jones, who's just right now repeating old lines from Rick Jones' past. And the Hulk and also Jacqueline, they're kind of freaking out at the moment. But now we have to transition over to Puck and also the Absorbing Man. Now remember, for Puck, he was part of Alpha Flight, the Canadian team that was turned into a space team in the 2010s. Now at this point, they're calling themselves Gamma Flight because they're trying to help out the Hulk and also Walter as well, Sasquatch. But either way, Puck and also the Absorbing Man have also been teleported into this hell along the Hulk and also Jacqueline. But the only thing is, they're far away from the other two. Now, for Puck, he had lived a very interesting life, but he thinks he knows what's exactly happening here. That right now, they're in hell, the true hell of Marvel Comics. But also, they could confront the true devil of Marvel Comics. Because this man had fought against all different kind of creatures, including demons as well. Now, for Puck here, he believes that the absorbing man might be the key to fix everything because he was used by this devil to open up the green door to bring all of them into this hell. And so he believes that the absorbing man could be the key to get them the heck out of there. Now, let's get back over to Hulk and also Jacqueline because they're still looking at the hollow body of Rick Jones. Now, here's the thing, because all you have Rick Jones doing is just repeating old lines over and over again. But then they're confronted by another hollow corpse, and this time it would be Jacqueline's father. Now, we do learn right here that for Jacqueline, when it came to the Hulk, when he had destroyed their entire home, Jacqueline's father worked so much to try to get the family back together, to get their home back together. The man was so stressed out, he had died. And so ever since then, it was Jacqueline who has blamed the Hulk for what he had done to her father. And so right now, it's her just yelling at the Hulk because he's telling her, leave him alone. That's not your father. Your father is dead. That right there, just some kind of hollow version of him. But for Jacqueline, she can't move on because she says, Hulk, you don't understand what it's like to have somebody always so concerned about you. Now, when she says that line, you have our two characters turn around and they see Thunderbolt Ross, somebody who truly did care. I won't say care, but he was very worried about the Hulk a whole lot. But then this leads us into General Ross turning into the Red Hulk. Now remember, this is not Ross. This is a fake version of Ross that had just turned into the Red Hulk. But either way, it's now Hulk versus Red Hulk round whatever. Now here is the problem. You see, while the battle goes on, for our Hulk, the green one, he gets angrier. He becomes more aggressive. And for Jacqueline, she realized that. She's kind of like, wait a second, there's something wrong with the Hulk. He has completely changed. And I have no idea what changed about him, but he is not acting like he was at first. Now we come to find out, this is another version of the Hulk coming out, the more aggressive Hulk, the Savage Hulk. But to close on the first chapter of the story arc, we go in the very middle of this area of hell. We had this green light just shooting up into the sky, and we pick up with Brian Banner. Now remember, Brian Banner is the father of Bruce Banner, but this man was very abusive to his wife and also to his son. Now, here comes the big thing. You see, when it comes to Brian Banner, he'll play a very important role in this storyline. But we see that in the middle of the green light is Bruce Banner, which means Bruce is not right now in the body of the Hulk. They once again been separated. And the question is, how? And what is the goal of Brian Banner, who died a long time ago, but it seems like with him being in hell, he's trying to come back in a different kind of way. Now, as we dive into the next chapter, issue number 12, we picked up with a flashback. Now, this flashback is really more of us getting the chance to see how abusive Brian was to Bruce Banner when they were younger, Bruce being a kid and him being a young adult. And we kind of get the idea that for Brian, he hated the idea that Bruce was around because something changed with the mother, Bruce's mother. And matter of fact, that'll be explained a tad bit here in a moment. But again, with this flashback, we get a reminder that Brian Banner was so abusive that he came home one day and saw that his son had a brand new kind of toy to play with. Now, this toy is very complex for Bruce's age, but Bruce was able to understand. But for Brian, he still hated seeing his son. And so because of that, he told his son, it's your fault your mom has changed. It's your fault your mom is no longer happy. It's all your fault. And then told Bruce to go ahead and destroy the new toy that he had received. So you then have Bruce go ahead and begin to smash away at his brand new toy. Now, I kind of want to focus more on the whole idea of him smashing real quick. And here's the reason why, because we had learned a long time ago that when it came to Brian Banner, because Brian had abused Bruce so much, all that anger inside Bruce's body was turned into a persona that was locked away inside the body of Bruce Banner. And so when he was hit with the Gamma Bomb, it unlocked that persona, and of course, it turned into the Hulk. Now, when it comes to all these different kinds of Hulks, they all have their own personalities, but they all represent something that's locked away inside the body of Bruce Banner. And so technically, we could say that it's Brian Banner who led into the actual creation of the Hulk, because all that anger that Bruce had inside of him was locked away. And when the bomb went off, bam, that anger turned into the Hulk. And so as we go back to the present day, we pick up the Hulk to smash and go away. But this is the Savage Hulk. The Hulk has all that anger inside of him and just wants to get it out. And so as we go back into the present day and see the Hulk just destroying everything around him, you didn't have Jacqueline be the one to kind of calm down the Hulk, because her father says, look at him, look into his eyes. And she kind of realized that this is the other Hulk, the Savage Hulk. The one she talked to earlier, that was the Devil Hulk, the one they call the Immortal Hulk. And so you have Jacqueline walk over to the Hulk to calm him down and say, listen, I need to talk to him. I need to talk to the Devil Hulk. And so you had the Savage Hulk go away. But when he does go away, we see him crying, because all the pain the Hulk had felt that was locked away when Bruce, a young boy, is still inside of him. But either way, the Devil Hulk comes out. Now, for Jacqueline, she realized there's something else wrong here, because she knows that with all the different versions of the Hulk, they're all just different personalities of Bruce Banner. And so she kind of realized that for the Immortal Hulk, he only comes out in the nighttime. And the problem is right now, the sun is up, which means it's daytime. Where is Bruce Banner? Now, we already know that these two characters have been officially separated, but now it's the Hulk and Jacqueline realizing like, oh my God, we have lost Bruce Banner. He's no longer a part of me, but for Devil Hulk here, he kind of knows where Bruce could possibly be at. Now, I want to jump back over to Brian, also Bruce Banner. Here's the reason why. Because like I said earlier, it kind of seemed like for Brian, he was okay with everything in his life until Bruce came around. And the reason why, because all the love Rebecca had, the mother of Bruce, it went to Brian before Bruce was even thought of. And so once Bruce came around, for Brian Banner, he lost all that love that Rebecca was giving to him. Now that love in his mind was split into two, for Bruce and also him. Really, for him, he felt like Bruce got all the love and he was no longer getting any love at all from Rebecca. Now, the reason why he felt like this, because when it comes to Brian Banner, his father, the grandfather to Bruce, was very abusive. And so he felt like he did not deserve any kind of love at all. But then he met Rebecca, a woman who loved him, and he realized that maybe, just maybe, he did deserve love. And then on top of that, he was one of the best scientists in the world when it came to gamma radiation. Everything was going great for him before Bruce was even thought of. But then, once you had Brian Banner begin to look deeper into gamma radiation, he kind of realized that kind of energy has the ability to manifest in three different kind of ways. The first is particles. Second is wave. But the third one, that was the mysterious one that he could not figure out at all. And so for his colleagues, at first they're kind of like, dude, you're a tad bit crazy here. But then they realized that he could be onto something. And so they said, hey man, you have all support. Hopefully you're able to figure out what is that third form. Now here comes the big problem, because one night he stayed up too late. He dozed off and began to dream. But when he was dreaming of the green door. And of course, on the other side of that green door was a creature trying to come out of it. And so that freaked him out to the point where he had officially abandoned his entire project. And when he did that, he lost the respect of all his colleagues. They no longer respected him at all. They were kind of like, dude, you had all our respect and you had lost it. And so after dealing all of that at work, once he got back home and felt like a failure, you didn't have Rebecca tell him that she was pregnant with Bruce. And that was kind of like the last straw right there. Now, I want to get into the deaths of Brian Banner because they play a very important role for today's video. So, when it comes to Brian Banner, he had died twice in Marvel Comics. Now, his first death was when Bruce was 15 years old. And back then, it was Bruce trying his best to allow his father back into his life again. But here comes the problem, though. You see, for Brian Banner, he began to talk bad about Bruce and also Rebecca. And so Bruce got angry, pushed Brian, and Brian's head hit the headstone of the grave of Rebecca Banner, killing him right then and there. Now, going into his second death, that took place in Chaos War. Now, Chaos War was a very cool storyline that we still have to cover, but in that storyline, Brian came back to life. But once he had died once again in that storyline, he didn't go to your regular hell. He went to the below place. Now, the below place is being ruled by a new creation called the One Below All. Now, that is going to be very important for today's video and the rest of this series. But with that being said, once Brian was able to get down there, he realized that third form of energy that could manifest out of gamma radiation is, of course, the One Below All. But then he realized the One Below All is not really able to go into the main Marvel Universe reality, Earth's reality. It needs a host, but using the Green Door as a way to get a host. And so once you have Bruce being able to set off that bomb to turn to the Hulk for the first time, he opened up the Green Door. Also, thanks to the bomb, Bruce's body was hit with a whole lot of the third form of gamma radiation. And so now Bruce can be the perfect host for the One Below All to allow him, One Below All, and also Brian to go back into the main reality of the main Marvel Universe, Earth's reality, to go use the Green Door. And so while you have Brian up there just laughing and having a good old time, we get our first look of the One Below All, this huge creature that's heading towards Bruce and Brian Banner. And so as we get into the final chapter of this book, we do pick up with the Hulk just fighting against an army of creatures that the One Below All had released. Now the Hulk is trying his best, but the problem is the Hulk is still weak from his battle against the Absorbing Man in our last video. So right now the Hulk is just struggling against all these different kinds of creatures. Now, luckily for the Hulk, the corpse of Rick Jones does turn into A-Bomb once again to help his friend out. But the problem is there's still too many of them for our two heroes to fight against. It kind of seems like the Hulk and A-Bomb might lose this battle. But getting back over to Puck and also the Absorbing Man, you have Puck basically explain to Kree that when it came to him trying to absorb all that gamma radiation in our last video, he also absorbed Bruce Banner as well, basically splitting the two characters into two, the Hulk and Bruce. And so for the Absorbing Man, he kind of realized that this is all his fault, but at the same time, he still has a chance to actually fix it. And so you have the Absorbing Man go confront Brian Banner. And here's the reason why. Because for the Absorbing Man, he now knows what he has to do to save the day. And so he turns attention over to Bruce Banner. Because now you have the Absorbing Man reabsorbing all that gamma radiation and now giving it over to the Hulk. And so now the Hulk is back at full power. Enough power to fight against the horde of creatures that the One Below All is sending towards him. Now, for the Hulk, he is able to go confront Brian Banner. Now, for Brian Banner, he claims Bruce Banner as his son, but he says no, the Hulk is his child of the One Below All. But for Hulk right now, he does not care. The one thing he wants to do is defeat Brian Banner and send everyone back home. And really, the battle is very short-lived because once you have the Hulk being able to easily defeat Brian Banner, you have the One Below All also disappear as well, because now Bruce Banner is no longer holding on to all of that gamma radiation. So he also dips out. Now, before you have our heroes return to their dimension, you have the Hulk and Bruce Banner being able to have one last conversation with one another. Because for Bruce, he's okay with the idea of dying, staying here and dying because he's tired of the life of the Hulk. But you have the Hulk say, that's not going to happen. Matter of fact, you and we're going to rejoin here in a minute, but also I want to tell you this right here, Bruce. All those other Hulks inside of you, they may hate you. But here's the thing, me, the Immortal Hulk, I don't hate you. Now, you had locked me away for years because I scared you, but I want to tell you this right here, that I was always there for you because I was always trying to protect you because I love you, kid. So this version of the Hulk was always in Bruce's body, always there to try to help protect him. And so with that being said, here the two sides come back together as one. Now, we do get two epilogues for this story. The first epilogue is really more of Puck, the absorbing man, and also Jackie being able to find Walter. Now, Walter is also part of Gamma Flight, but he was not teleported into that other dimension. So he was just outside trying to find his friends, but now he did. Now, we also see that the absorbing man is going to join Gamma Flight as well. So this is a good thing for that character. Now, the second epilogue that will lead into the next story arc is we pick up with Betty Ross. And you have Betty Ross just answering a phone call. And of course, that call came from no other than Bruce Banner. And it's Bruce saying like, hey, I want to come home. Because these two characters, they're always madly in love with one another. And so we might finally get that reunion between Betty Ross and Bruce Banner. But with that being said, guys, this is where we're going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.